PRX.
Friends beyond the binary, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time for the podcaster that can't even put one word together. Podcaster, that's one word. I can't even put it together. Can't put one word together. Let's not even think about putting two together. Because when I think about conjunction, junction, what's your function? Is it to make one word or not? But it's time for Sleep With Me, the podcast that is here to keep you company, take your mind off stuff so you could fall asleep. I'm here to help. And this show does take a few tries to get used to. It's a podcast you don't really listen to. It doesn't put you to sleep. I'm just here to be your friend in the deep, dark night. So see how it goes. The reason I make the show, and the reason so many people are listening along right now is, one, a lot of us know how it feels in the deep, dark night. Whatever's keeping you awake or whatever's going on, I might not have been through it myself, but I could relate to how it feels probably. And if I can't, there's someone listening right now who can. And you deserve a good night's sleep. You deserve a bedtime you could look forward to or feel neutral about. That's why I make the show. So I put in so much work because I know how it feels and I want you to have a bedtime. You say, hey, at least I got that weird podcast to listen to. It'll keep me company and I'll feel a little bit better. But if you can get the rest you need and you deserve, and your life is more manageable, you could be out there flourishing. That gives me meaning, and that gives my life meaning to help you. But this show is very weird, too, so just a heads up. But that's what people like about it. So give it a few tries, see how it goes. I'm so glad you're here. In the structure of the show, we're going to have some support. That's how the podcast is free. Then there'll be an intro to ease you into bedtime. And then we'll have our bedtime story. So I'm glad you're here. I appreciate you coming by. And here's how I'm able to do it for you for free twice a week. Hey, everybody, it's Scoots. I don't know if you're giving gifts for the holiday season or getting them, but, you know me. I say, I hope I'm, on your behalf, I hope you're getting them. And I hope you say, hey, you know what I really want? I listen to Sleep With Me. I want some Sleep With Me branded Sleepphones. Or if you have someone in your life that listens to something at bedtime, even if it's not Sleep With Me, you say, you know what'd be cool? One of those Sleep With Me branded Sleepphones. The most comfortable way to listen to Sleep With Me. And you can only get them if you use our link, sleepwithmepodcast.com/sleepphones. There's a couple different headbands to choose from. 3 different models of Sleepphones. They are the most comfortable way to listen to Sleep With Me. And by the way, if you're a runner, holy moly, they'll change the running game, especially in the winter. So get out there, get yourself some Sleepphones, sleepwithmepodcast.com/sleepphones, and use Sleep With Me at checkout for a little bit of savings. Sleepwithmepodcast.com/sleepphones, and one word, Sleep With Me at checkout. Get those Sleepphones, get those orders in right now. Happy holidays, everybody. All right, everybody, it is time to talk about tonight's sponsor, Helix. Get over to helixsleep.com, and I want you to take that 2-minute sleep quiz, helixsleep.com/sleep. Let me know what mattress you get matched with. I have the Helix Dusk Lux. That's because I sleep hot. I sleep on my side. I sleep on my stomach. But Helix has a bunch of different mattress models to choose from, and I want you to start the new year right. Think about your sleep and think about the mattress you have. Take that quiz. Just see what you get matched with. Let me know. helixsleep.com/sleep. Helix is a premium mattress brand that provides tailored mattresses that are based on your unique sleep preferences. They have 14 unique mattresses. That includes a collection of luxury models, a mattress for big and tall sleepers, even a mattress for kids. And I talked about how that Helix quiz helps you match a mattress that works best for you. And that personalized mattress is shipped straight to your door free of charge. And Helix knows there's no better way to test out a mattress than at home by sleeping on it. And that's why they have a 100-night risk-free trial. You get to try out your new Helix, see how your body adjusts. If it's not the best fit, you're welcome to return it for a full refund. And as I said, Helix knows everybody's unique, everybody sleeps different. That's why they have so many different mattress models to choose from. There's models with memory foam that provide pressure relief if you sleep on your side, models with more responsive foam that cradles your body if you're a stomach or back sleeper, enhanced cooling features to keep you from overheating, and if your spine needs some extra TLC, TLC, every Helix mattress is a hybrid design that's individually wrapped steel coils with premium foam layers on top. Perfect combination of comfort and support. Like I said, I love my Helix Dusk Lux. Keeps me cool, keeps me comfortable. And not only is it the best mattress I've slept on, but it's so fast and easy. Comes straight to your door, shipped for free. Helix mattresses are American made. They come with a 10 or 15-year warranty, depending on the model. And you get to try it out 100 nights risk-free. So take that quiz. If you don't love it, I mean, I know you will, but if you don't, they'll pick it up for you, give you a full refund. And if you don't want to take Scoots' word for it, Helix was the #1 mattress pick by GQ and Wired magazine, recommended by multiple leading chiropractors and doctors of sleep medicine as a go-to solution for improving your sleep. So take that quiz. HelixSleep.com/sleep. Helix is offering up to $200 off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows at HelixSleep.com/sleep. With Helix, better sleep starts now. Thanks, everybody. All right, everybody, it is time for the Sleepy Supporter Zone. The one part of the podcast I need you to hear, it's how we were able to bring the show Free Choice Week, because the listeners who supported the sponsors elevated their support by letting the sponsors know about it. Could not do it without the listeners who take action and support the sponsors. So let me know about it. You support a sponsor, you check them out, you try a free trial, fill out the form at sleepwithmepodcast.com/sponsors. Not only will I try to thank you here, I'll try to send you a thank you video and some stickers. So fill out that form, sleepwithmepodcast.com/sponsors, because I appreciate your support, keeping the show free for everybody. And I want to thank Andrej, who filled out the form, got some Sleepphones at sleepwithmepodcast.com/sleepwithmepodcast.com/sleepphones. Filled out the form at sleepwithmepodcast.com/sponsors. Let them know about it. Let me know about it. Andrej, couldn't do it without listeners like you. Thank you so much. The next part of the Sleepy Supporter Zone is you getting the support you need right now. If you're in need of extra help right now, even international resources, there's a list right in our show notes you could connect with. It's also about being a part of positive change, not just saying Black Lives Matter, not just saying stop AAPI hate, not just saying support Ukraine, but taking action to be a part of positive change. Learning more, there's links to resources in the show notes where you could get started and take action. And one of the actions we've been taking is building hygiene kits as a community. Just sign up for the email list. That's the best way to keep up to date. I'm working on a new process that everybody could take a part of that's really simple to build the hygiene kits. You could do that at sleepwithmepodcast.com/midnight mission. One of the organizations we're supporting is the Midnight Mission in Los Angeles. So sign up. It's free. Get free access to our live shows at sleepwithmepodcast.com/midnight mission. Oh, Mystery Bart, a lot of work goes into these podcasts. A lot of people help out on it. Who are they?
Chris Posty Poster Son sounds like an earful. Wrote the theme song. Edits episodes too. Carl W. the Legend. Also edits episodes. Ashley, Kenny, Scotty, Jennifer. Runner. Eric and the team at Astound or on the website. I am the Mystery Bard. I do the lullabies, yeah. I do commissions at JonathanMann.net. I'll write a song for you. Any reason at all. You can tell me the story and I'll make it personal. You see the kindness shine straight on through when the listeners form their own Facebook group. Keith, Stacy, Sarah, Julie, and Jennifer. These are your moderators. Get support dear Scooter on Patreon. Buy the merch and support the sponsors. You can find anything you want at sleepwithmepodcast.com. And we're so proud that we could dance. Rusty Biscuit, Lois, Anna like banana. Leah does the transcripts.
Thanks, Mystery Bard. I'm at Dear Scooter on Twitter and Instagram. What do you say we slow it down and get on with the show? Hey, are you up all night tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do it with a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. And I'm going to try to do the rest. What I'm going to attempt to do is create a safe place where you could set aside whatever is keeping you awake, whether it's thoughts on your mind, like things you're thinking about, anything you're feeling physically, right? Physical sensations. So anything physically coming up for you, or emotionally, feelings related to physical or your thoughts or feelings that are just there, feelings about the past, present, and future. Oh boy, feelings. I've got them. Oh boy, holy moly. Don't know it. Feelings. I'm not in touch with them, but they're all over me. Feelings, they're here. Love you. Feelings, love you much. I really do try. I'm trying to live that way. Feelings, can't live with them. Gotta live with them. Always with them. Always with those feelings. And don't get me started with those thoughts. Because they're oh boy, talk about complimentary. My thoughts and my feelings and my physical sensations. Now I'm having all of them. Oh, but it could be something else that's keeping you awake. It could be changes in your routine, your time, your temperature. You could be traveling. You could have something coming up. You could have guests. Could just be something temporary, or this could be an ongoing thing. Whatever it is, I'm here to keep you company so that you could fall asleep and to take your mind off of stuff. And the reason I make the show is because you deserve a good night's sleep. It's really that simple. You deserve a bedtime you don't have to dread, a bedtime you can feel neutral about or look forward to, a bedtime without rigmarole, and that you say, okay, yeah, I got that podcast to listen to. And if it's not this podcast, you're already like, I don't think this show is for me. Check out sleepwithmepodcast.com/no thank you. There's plenty of other sleep podcasts out there that I have listed there, or other sleepy audio. But yeah, it's like, what was my point? This podcast just doesn't work for everybody, but for most people it works on the second or third try. So give it a few tries at first. But to go back to the reason I make the show is if you get the rest you need, your life's going to be more manageable. And that's important, because if your life's better, the world we live in is really a better place to be in. And the other reason is because I've been there, and hundreds of thousands of people that are listening right now have been there. We might not know exactly what you're going through, but we can relate. That's why I call it, it can be LONLEY, right? In that deep, dark night. That's why I call it the deep, dark night. So I'm here to keep you company and make it, less lonely if I can, to be your boyfriend, I'll explain all that coming up. But first thing I'll do is I'm already doing, I'm sending my voice across the deep, dark night. I'm going to use lulling, soothing, creaky, dulcet tones, pointless meanders, and superfluous tangents. So I'll go off topic. I'll get mixed up. I'll try to explain something. I'll forget how to do that. Then I'll double back. And all that is to kind of, I guess all that's natural, right? Is all the extra words. Even now, I'm having trouble. Here's a saying, he can't string a sentence together. And I said, wait a second, whose sentences have strings anyway? I mean, I guess a string of, my brain just said a string of coherent thoughts is what they mean. And I'd say, wow, you really get to, and I've never met you. You're a part of my brain that gets right to the point, huh? I am. Oh, well, I like being quiet like that sometimes, and just, but I was just saying, okay, string of coherent thoughts. The problem with the string of coherent thoughts for me is that they're all lined up in a row, so I can't see them until they already get here, right? If they're all lined up on a string, a straight line, I mean, any string I'm dealing with is nothing, there's nothing going to be straight about it. They'll have more knots than Don KnotsCon, the convention I just invented for Don Knotts fans everywhere. It may exist already. And it's a double convention. It's also for fans of Knotts. Those aren't spelled the same, I don't think. I think Don Knotts has two T's or something. You say, yes, the convention floor is divided by decades, of course. the different decades of Don Knotts. And then, yeah, there's a section for knots, and then decades of knots throughout the ages. Believe it or not, that's what we call the Don Knot section, too. Oh, but what was they saying? Oh, string of coherent thoughts. Obviously, if they're all lined up, I won't know if they're coherent or not till they've already passed me by. Normally, they're not. I say, oh, too late now. I'm still talking. And so that's why I go on pointless meanders and superfluous tangents. I say, well, I think this Don Knotts convention, could we get Lansbury Con, Angela Con, and Don Knotts and the Rom-Com Con all at the same time? Maybe? Okay. Well, here's the thing. Here's the situation. Okay, so I got really lost in my thoughts there. Superfluous tangents, and go off topic, all to keep you company so that you could fall asleep. Now, if you're new, like I said, this podcast takes some getting used to, and you may already have strong negative feelings about the show. Or you say, I don't know about when's this podcast get sleepy? And I say, well, it's kind of it's a podcast that's never going and always barely moving. Always making coherent thoughts, nodded for free. Coherent thoughts, strings of coherent thoughts, lost, and I got a pile. Oh boy, do I have a couple in my garage. I said, those used to be strings of coherent thoughts because they said I couldn't string a thought together. Oh, no, those are friendship bracelets. I'm sorry. One time I got them confused. I thought those were coherent thoughts. They're just, are friendship bracelets and boondoggles two different things? I think they are. But I think would you give a boondoggle to a friend? That could be, is that a John Denver song? Anyone? Oh, Kermit, did John Denver and Kermit the Frog sing that together? I think they may have. Okay. Oh, I'm trying to introduce the sleep podcast. Yeah, so this podcast takes some getting used to, and I'll explain a little bit about that here coming up. But if you're doubtful or skeptical, of course you are. You've probably tried a lot of different stuff to help you fall asleep, and a lot of it may not have worked, or it may have worked only once or twice. That's how it is for me. So just kind of stick around and see how it goes. You got nothing to lose. And like I said, sleepwithmepodcast.com/no thank you exists for people that loathe me or the podcast. A normal reaction. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. Clearly, you're not everybody's giving me friendship bracelets or boondoggles. Or what are those things on, what were those called? I don't know if they're friendship safety pins. I remember seeing those as a child, but that was, I didn't have any friends that were crafting those for me. I did have friends at the time. Just, none that were so struck by our friendship that they said, oh boy, I got to craft you a boondoggle. They sent me on boondoggles. And, enough about me. How about the sleep podcast and why it doesn't make a lot of sense? Well, a couple things to know. This is a podcast that doesn't put you to sleep. It's here to keep you company while you fall asleep, to take your mind off stuff. So it's the kind of thing you kind of just barely listen to it. It's a little bit like background noise, but you can listen because I'm not here. This podcast that doesn't put you to sleep, it keeps you company. I'm here to be your bore friend, your bore bae, your bore sib, your bore bud, your bore burr, your neighbor, your bore friend, your friend in the deep dark night to just keep you company. I think I said that a few times. So if you can't sleep, I'll be here to the very end. If you need a break during the day, I'm here. So just kind of see how it goes. But a couple other things to know. So it's in a podcast that doesn't put you to sleep. It's a podcast you don't really listen to. Structure can throw people off. Show structure in a very specific way. But as you become a regular listener, you could adjust the show. But for most people, this is how they listen. So the show starts off with a greeting, friends beyond the binary, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. So feel seen and welcome. Then there's support for the show so that it can be free or optional to pay for and come out twice a week regularly, Sunday and Wednesday nights. And that's because of people that support the sponsors or support the show directly. Then there's support for listeners who are having a tough time and communities around the show. Then there's the intro. Now, the intro is not part of the support. The intro is 10 to 20 minutes of me rambling and trying to introduce the podcast unsuccessfully. Like a normal intro would be technically a string of coherent thoughts. Say, this is the Sleep With Me podcast, sleepiest podcast on the internet, and we'll be putting you to sleep here soon. I guess it's a counterintuitive, those sleep podcasts, because you couldn't. So we'll be putting you together a super slick, super sleep podcast where we just count down from 20 and we put you to sleep. And that's coming up next. Maybe I'll just do that as a podcast. What was my point? I don't know. I got mixed up. So, the structure of the show. So the intro goes on and on and on. So the regular listeners, they know, this is something familiar, but it's different every time. While I'm introducing the podcast to new listeners, regular listeners are getting ready for bed or doing a wind down activity or getting comfortable in bed. Some people are falling asleep. There's a few percentage of people that skip the stories or pay so that they can listen to story-only episodes. But for the most part, the intro serves as a buffer between the day and the night, between the evening and going to sleep, a wind down. And so that's why the intro lasts 10 to 20 minutes and goes on and on and on to ease you into bedtime. Then there's more support for the show, so it can be free. And if you don't like the support, you're welcome to pay and skip all that. Then there's a story. Tonight, it'll be kind of one of our more random one-off type episodes. And then there's thank yous at the end of the show, so at the end of the podcast. So it's the structure of the show. That's why I make the show. And I'm really glad you're here. I really appreciate you checking the podcast out. Give it a few tries, see how it goes. And I really hope I can help you fall asleep. Thanks again for coming by. And here's a couple of ways I'm able to do it for you for free twice a week. Sleep With Me podcast is brought to you by Progressive. Are you thinking more about how to tighten up your budget these days? Drivers who save by switching to Progressive save over $700 on average, and customers can qualify for an average of 6 discounts when they sign up. A little off your rate each month goes a long way. Get a quote today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National annual average insurance savings by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2020 and May 2021. Potential savings will vary. Discounts vary and are not available in all states and situations. All right, everybody, it is time to talk about tonight's sponsor, Zocdoc. You check them out at Zocdoc.com/sleep. And when someone's really good at what they do, waiter, a chef, a doctor, you're in good hands. It's kind of like watching videos of people jumping rope or skipping rope. But like you say, I can't even, they're making moves. How do you even do that? It's actually too practice. Oh, well, it amazes me because I don't know how you do it. But you say, oh boy, I feel confident in you jumping rope. Well, when you find the right doctor, it's very similar. You say, what? And I say, no, you could feel it. The right doctor is someone that makes you feel heard and at ease. And on Zocdoc, finding the doctor that's right for you is seamless. The quality care you need is just a few taps away in the Zocdoc app. Zocdoc is the only free app that lets you find and book doctors who are patient-reviewed, take your insurance, and are available when you need them, and treat almost every condition under the sun. There's no more scouring the internet or rolling the dice, looking at reviews and being like, what are these reviews? With Zocdoc, you have a trusted guide to connect you with your favorite doctor you haven't even met yet. Millions of people use Zocdoc's free app and book a doctor in their neighborhood who is patient-reviewed and fits their needs and schedule just right. Like I said, I've used Zocdoc to find an eye doctor. It's so easy. The reviews, the check in the schedule, you got to check it out. Go to Zocdoc.com/sleep and download the Zocdoc app for free. Then find and book a top-rated doctor today. Many are available within 24 hours. That's Zocdoc.com/sleep. 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 Thanks, everybody. Everybody, this is it was going to be a board game unboxing, but I'll be straight with you. We played the game last night. It's a 2-player game, and my timing could not have been better for buying this game because my daughter and I both were under the weather, if you catch my drift, and at home for a week together. And I bought this game. Now, thus far, my ability to win the game has been pretty limited. So we'll talk about this game. It's kind of an unboxing, and there's 2 pieces. So we'll talk about this game, and then I have some other stuff to talk about too. So kind of like a board game unboxing. And this game is called Hive Pocket. There's a non-pocket version of it, but it's not exactly a pocket game. It's more of a travel size game. It's a 2-person game. It's a game crawling with possibilities that'll have to change around a lot. It's for ages 9+. And the box, it's an award-winning game. It includes the pocket game, and the reason I got the pocket game was it comes with 2 of the expansions. It's ages 9+, 2 players, 20 minutes per game, though I've lost in as few as a few minutes. And my daughter's just, it's a bit like chess is a comparable thing. You don't need a board. Includes a bag. It's easy rules, quick to play. Each of your pieces is similar to chess, moves in a different direction. I'm not saying it's the same as chess. You slow your horses roll. But it's similar to chess. That's what article I read about the game before I bought it. But it is different because you can move your pieces or add pieces to your turn. And your whole thing is to kind of, in a similar way, you're supposed to surround your yellow striped friend. The pieces are, those 1, 2. So they're 8-sided pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-sided pieces. They're tiles, essentially. And the object of the game is to surround the striped yellow character with wings. The winged yellow striped goddess, who we could call the queen. The queen named Bee. Yeah, you're supposed to surround a queen named Bee with your other pieces. And it can be made up of a mixture of your pieces or the opponent's. And the first person to do that wins. And in my case, thus far, it has not been me. But maybe by reading these instructions, I'll get better at the game. I don't think so, but the game, each player takes all 13 pieces of one color and faces them up, places them face up in front of them. And play begins with one player placing a piece, that's tough to say, from their hand in the center of the table. And then the next player joining one of their pieces edge to edge. And players take turns to either place or move any one of their pieces. So basically you have these tiles, and let's say you have the nighttime tiles. There's nighttime and daytime tiles, so that, just like in chess. And you have 6-sided pieces. So someone places, like one is the queen named Bee. Another kind of piece is the aunties from a farm. And another piece is the makers of cider webs, old cider webs with the eight cider webs. My friend with 8 legs. Cider. Oh, the cider. So let's say I put down my cider piece, and I'm playing in the nighttime mode, and then you put your ante piece next to mine. You'd have to have it touching on one of the 6 sides. At this point, I guess it doesn't matter because we've each placed one piece. And to go into more depth from the instructions, a new piece can be introduced into the game at any time. However, with the exception of the first piece placed by each player, pieces may not be placed next to a piece of the opponent's color. So when you're placing a piece, not moving a piece, it can't be touching your opponent's a piece of your opponent's color when you're moving it into gameplay in a sense. So right now we have a cider and an ant, and I don't know who went first. I think the cider. So then let's say I wanted to like a old hopper from the grass, you know. If I wanted to place a hopper from the grass, I'd have to touch it on one of only 3 sides of my cider piece, because 2 sides, if I placed it on the other 2 sides, it would be touching the ante piece, which is not allowed. And it's possible to win the game without placing all your pieces, as my daughter has shown me. But once a piece has been placed, it cannot be removed. It can be moved, but not removed from the field of play, which the only piece you'd want to remove from the field of play would be your queen to get it out of there. Okay, but placing the queen named B, your queen named B can be placed at any time from your first to your 4th turn. And you must place your queen named B on your 4th turn if you've not placed it before. Also important is once your queen named B has been placed, but not before, you can decide whether to use each turn after that to place another piece or to move one of the pieces that has already been placed. Each piece has its own way of moving. So when moving, it's possible to move pieces to a position where they touch one or more of your opponent's pieces. Also, all pieces must touch at least one other piece. If a piece's only connection is between 2 parts, this is the first time they use this term, I guess. But when your pieces are in conjunction, that's your hive. Your biome, I guess. If a piece is the only connection between 2 parts of this continuity, it can't be moved. So you can't leave all the pieces are somehow connected. No piece can be off on its own. So there can be gaps. You know what I mean? All the tiles have to be connected, experience some sort of interconnection. That's called the one hive rule. Okay, so the pieces, the players in this play, the queen named B, can only move 1 space per turn. Even though it is restricted in this way, if it's moved at the right time, it could disrupt your opponent's plans. So, you know, it can't move. It can only move to an open space that it can freely move to, too. Like most of the pieces glide, which you kind of, like, it's not great to describe. But if you decide to play this game, which I highly recommend, even though I'm not very good at it. Okay, next up is old Beetle Bailey, famous at some point. I think Beetle Bailey was the originator of, hung around with, Felix the cat and ate Dagwood sandwiches or something. But in this game, old Beetle Bailey is, like the queen bee, like the queen, can only move 1 space per turn around the hive, but it can also move on top of the hive. And a piece with the beetle on top is unable to move, and for the purposes of the placing rules, the stack takes on the color of the beetle. And my daughter just used this to win against me very easily, because she put her beetle on top of my queen and then just built around my queen. And I don't know how I'm going to undo that, but you can place a beetle on top of a beetle, though. When it's first placed, the beetle is placed in the same way as all the other pieces. It can't be placed directly on top of the hive, even though it can be moved there later. Okay, so when on top of the hive, the beetle can move from piece to piece across the top of the hive. It can also drop into places that are surrounded and not accessible. The only way to block a beetle is on top of the hive is to move another beetle on top of it. All beetles and skeetos can be stacked on top of each other. Okay, next up is a grasshopper. The grasshopper does not move around the outside of the hive like the other buddies. Instead, it jumps from its space over any number of pieces, but at least one, to the next unoccupied space along a straight line of joined pieces, straight row. This gives it the advantage of being able to fill in a space which is surrounded by other pieces, which you'll find with the sliding is tough. The beetles and the grasshopper are good for that. So it basically jumps over pieces like checker type thing, but it can jump over any number of pieces to an open spot, but only in a straight line. Cider moves 3 spaces per turn, no more, no less. It must move in a direct path and cannot backtrack on itself. It can only move around pieces that is in direct contact with on each step of its move. It may not move across to a piece it is not in direct contact with. I got to keep an eye on this rule for the ways I've been not doing well. But yeah, it's good because you can move 3 spaces. The ante can move from its position to any other position around the board, provided the restrictions of 8 and 9 are adhered to. The freedom of the movement of the ant makes it one of the most valuable pieces. So the ant can go anywhere as long as it can slide in there because it can't jump. Okay, then there's 2 pieces we haven't used yet because we were still learning the rules. The ladybird moves 3 spaces, 2 on top and then 2 on top of the hive and then 1 down. It must move exactly 2 on top and then move 1 down on its last move. It may not move around the outside and may not end its movement on top. Even though it cannot block by landing on top of things like the beetle, it can move into or out of surrounded spaces. It also has the advantage of being much faster, I guess because it can move 3 instead of 1. Skeetle is another character. It's placed in the same way as other pieces. Once in play, it takes them on the movement characteristics of anything it's touching at the time, including opponents, changing its characteristics throughout the game. Exception: if a beetle Bailey is on top of the hive, it continues to move as a beetle. Oh, if it's moved as a beetle on top of the hive, it stays a beetle till it climbs back down. Unless it's touching a beetle, again, when it gets back down. If it's only touching a skeeter, even a stacked skeeter and no other piece, it can't move. So that's interesting. Okay, so some restrictions here that they're referring to. There's a 1 hive rule. The pieces in play must be linked at all times. And the art is very basic, but nice, and it's very well made, tiles. The pieces in play must be linked at all times. In no time can you leave a piece stranded and not connected or separate the hive into 2. You can use this to your advantage by moving pieces to strategic positions around, leaving your opponent's pieces unable to move. I thought the last game I was going to win because I did that, but then I still lost. Like I locked 2 of my daughter's ants down, but it didn't help me. Freedom to move. The buddies can only move in sliding movement. If a piece is surrounded to the point where it can't physically slide out of its position, it can't be moved. The exceptions are the grasshopper, which jumps out of the space, the beetle and the ladybug, which climb up and down, and the skeeter, which can mimic one of the 3. Similarly, no piece can move into a space it cannot physically slide into. When first introduced to the game, a piece may be placed into a square that is surrounded, as long as it doesn't violate the placing rules, in particular, the rule about pieces not being able to touch pieces of the opposite team. Unable to move or place. If a player cannot place a new piece or move an existing piece, their turn passes. The game continues until they're able to move or place a piece or until their queen is surrounded. And the game can end in draws. We've had multiple. I've drawn the game more times than I've won. The game ends as soon as the queen is surrounded by the pieces of either team or either player. The person who's surrounded loses the game, unless the last piece to surround them also completes the surrounding of the other queen. In that case, the game is a draw. It must be agreed to, unless there can be a resolution to the stalemate. So that's one game. I also have a bunch of other games. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, so I got three games that I bought from a long time ago. I think I bought everything they made. And I don't think the company is, I think I've talked about it. It's called Cheap Rear Game. Cheap Rear Games, it has another name too. But they were aware of two basic facts about board games, that they are expensive and at some level they're all the same. This is they're quoting them, the box. If you ignore the clever shapes they come in and the pawns that are interchangeable, sometimes the dice, the money, the counters, the pencils, just about everything in every part, the generic bits and pieces can account for as much 75% of the game's cost. And that gets passed on to you. So if you had a choice, you'd probably invest a little bit of money in one good set of gaming paraphernalia instead of 20 different ones. And then you could just buy the game part of the game. Yet, most companies sell the whole package, like bundling a can opener with a can of beans. Cheap bottom games come packaged with the bare essentials, boards, cards, and rule books. And usually they're printed in black and white. And if you need anything else, they'll tell you. And it's probably something you can scrounge from a game you already own or buy at a store. Or you could buy like a spare set of counters and money from them. Because I think that when I discovered it, I just bought they had like a super pack or something, a party pack. But then I couldn't, it wasn't as good at getting people to play. Once you've assembled a collection of generic game pieces, you can use them for every new cheap bottom game. And they standardize this thing. So I have three different games here that I didn't play a lot. The first one is in a box, and it's for 3 to 6 players. And it's called CAG 41. So I don't know if it was their 41st game. What you would need is a token for each player, some money, and some beans or some sort of counter. And it's called Secret Wrestling. Let's see. And here's the descriptor. On the front page is like a wrestler, but in business clothes. They have a sweater vest on, and a dress shirt and dress pants, and then there's a briefcase spilling behind them, but their hands and their muscles are in the air. And they're in disguise. They're wearing a covering so you can't tell who they are. So a little bit of lucha libre in there. So business is rough. Closing your business is worse. Some people it's a struggle, and or you could go and promote wrestling for big bucks. As you might suspect, this game is about option 2. Let's see. It's a card game featuring clever strategy, funny wrestlers, and components from another game. You're promoting wrestling, trying to get people into these, business people into these games. To begin the game, each player drafts a team of wrestlers, and you try to choose the right mix of, balance out your team. And then you challenge the other players to wrestling matches. The game was limited to 5,000. Because it used counters from another game, from the Atlas games, Spammers, which was overprinted. And they let us have the surplus, so you're lucky that this game is available for a limited time only. And if you want, there's other boxed games that are listed. Okay, so I think I may have played this game before just because there's a rubber band around the cards. And then there's a bag of counters with numbers on there and some emojis, which is probably from the spamming game. But let's look at the wrestlers. On one side of the card is the business person wrestler. Let me count the cards. Okay, I have 35 cards. And let's see how we have. This first person is ranked number 1. Uno y dos. It's actually 2 wrestlers doing the that Snow White thing where they have a raincoat and they're on top of one another. Contract price is $10,000. They get a 7 in hit, a 2 in tricks, and a 1 in block. Next up is this CLOWN, but not with very few. Their contract price is $13,000. They have a 2 rank, El Payoso, 535. So they're kind of balanced. El Cheapo is just a person with a paper bag. They have another 1 rank, 1 in hit, 3 in trick, 2 in blocks. Louis Fresco kind of has a futuristic type outfit on. Contract price is $18,000. Their rank is 3. Well, they have a 4 in hit, a 3 in tricks, and 11 in blocks. The Mighty E, she is in kind of a superhero outfit. Contract price is $21,000, a 4 rank, 12 in hit, 2 in tricks, 7 in blocks. Then we have someone, La Maniac. Contract price is $12,000. They're dressed like Olivia Newton-John, but they're wearing like a kind of hat you would wear to, what is that? What do you call it when you're fusing stuff? You're working on metal or whatever. Let's see. El Diablo Azul. Dressed in full Lucha Libre outfit. $23,000 contract price, 4 rank. 12 hit, 2 tricks, 9 blocks. Gordon Glorioso, 5 rank, 28,000. 11, 7, and 8. That's dressed as kind of a business person. Signor Roboto. That's a robot. Also dressed like they would wear red spandex too. 23,000, 4 rank. 8, 7, 8. And number 3, El Ocho. That's a Magic 8-ball type style outfit. 20,000, 587. La Enferma. This is a nurse style outfit. 16,747, 3 rank. Enchilada Progresso. This is also kind of a superhero type. 512, 5. So again, these are definitely Lucha Libre style wrestlers. La Nina, which is like a little kid, but they have a Viking helmet and a teddy bear, but they're 1 rank, 8,215. The Cider, they have 9, 11, 12, 32,000. Santa, 27,000, 1287, rank 5. Enrique, 13,000, number 2, 463. Like someone in a papal style Lucha Libre outfit. El Papa, that's a 3, 20,610. Well, so I think every single... this is like a lot of different ones. La Sombra. I don't know what that is in Spanish. Everything else have been 24,810. They're kind of like a Catwoman type outfit. Los Caballeros, 28,000. They're a team. 10, 12, 6. La Cucaracha, they're dressed in that style of outfit. 11,371. Poker Face. This one is dressed as a poker dealer. 31,000, 12, 9, 10, 12, 10, 9, 5. Oh, then they have characters from other games. So they have one from one of their more popular games, Lord of the Fries. 8, 12, 10, 30,000, 5. There's someone that kind of looks like Clint Eastwood. 3, 19,000, 12, 6, 1. Then they have someone, another just Lucha Libre style wrestling, 29,000, 9, 12, 8. Then they have, this one's Neo, the One, El Unico. So this game must have came out back then. 310, 12, dressed as Neo from Matrix, but not the first one, the second or third one. Then they have someone dressed like they're going to Dios de los Muertos parade, 15,000, 1032. They have someone from making lunch, 2812, 23,000. There's somebody that doesn't look like they want to be there, 421. They're cleaning up or something. Angela Sky. Maybe you could get your name on it. She has like an angel type, 17,539. Las Calientes, 19,611, 12. The Moth, 162 is 9,000. Oh, the person from the cover in the back of the box is the Grump, 14,536. Polo player. This one, El Polo Loco. So this might have been also, that's funny. 842, a pun from now Better Call Saul, but back then it would have been Breaking Bad. And a pirate, Doc, 16,011.32. Okay, so let's see. Oh, it also came with a free game, Put Woody's Castle, which is just a moving stone game, free of charge. It's a 2-player game. I might have to play that with my daughter. Let's just do it because it was just sitting on the top of this thing. It's a free game from Cheap Bottom Games, 2 to 4 players, 24 colored stones, 5 red, 8 blue, 11 white. The winner of the previous game goes first and passes to the left. And it's just 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4 like circles, 4 down, 5 across, and they're all connected. Place a stone of any available color in an empty space on the castle. After placing a stone, you score 1 point for every stone of the same color that is touching. So if your red stone touches 2 red stones, you score 2 points. The player with the most points wins. Ties count as fractions of wins. And it's a free game. Okay, so this game came with 36 cards. I only had 35. Sheets of cardboard tiles, and a plastic bag for storing the titles and these rules. What else you need? Money in denominations of $1,000 and up. Or you could use $1 to mean equal $1,000, and a betting token for each player and some beans. So separate it first, take all the tiles and separate them. Before the game, each player draws 2 random tiles to start their collection. The tiles are secret, like cards, but the number of tiles you hold is not a secret. Then each player gets a token, which will be used for betting, and a stake of $100,000. Put the rest of the money in the bank. And then you draft. Each player drafts 5 wrestlers. And to begin, you shuffle the deck and deal 6 cards to each player. Each player keeps 1 card from these 6 and passes the other 5 to the left. Place the card you keep face down on the table in front of you. And this process repeats with people taking 1 card and passing to the left until each player has drafted a total of 5 wrestlers. When you have only 1 card, discard it instead. The cards each player has kept now become their hand. The discarded people are not used. Each player places one wrestler face down on the table. Each player places one wrestler down on the table. These cards are then revealed together. The person who has the highest priced wrestler will take the first turn, and from this point on, the turn proceeds to the left. If there's a tie for the highest priced, it is broken by the highest hit value. Okay, so each player has 5 statistics: hit, tricks, blocks, contract price, and rank. That's the price you promise the fighter you're going to pay them. But it's also the amount you have to put up each time you put them in a match. Essentially, this is like what your stake, you know. The rank is a rating based on all their stats, and it determines who can challenge whom. Okay. A rank increases by 1 point each time they win. This is tracked by adding a bean to the card. Ranks start between 1 and 5. If you don't have somebody on a wrestler on the table, you must immediately play another one from your hand. This happens as your wrestlers retire and does not require a turn. When a player has no wrestlers in play and none in their hand, the game ends. Okay, so on your turn, you can play a wrestler, and that ends your turn. You could start a wrestling match. It has to be fair. So you choose one person on the table, one wrestler of somebody else's team whose rank is equal or greater than yours, and you start a match. The fighter cannot refuse, the wrestler cannot refuse, but they can forfeit. You can also call out and say, hey, I want to see who wants to wrestle me. And your opponents may put forward one or more to accept. Only wrestlers that are smaller than yours are allowed to accept. You may then wrestle any challenger from whoever stepped up. If no one stepped up, you draw 2 tiles and end your turn. You can manage your tiles. You can discard any number of tiles, or even none, and draw the same number of replacements. In addition, after swapping your tiles, you may draw one more tile for $5,000. Wrestling. When 2 wrestlers wrestle, their owners can play tiles to help, give them buffs, I guess, and all of the other players may make bets on the outcome. To begin, place them both in the center of the table head-to-head so their stats line up with each other. Kind of. So, hit lines up with block, and each trick lines up with tricks. Each player draws 1 tile right before the match. If they are not the same rank, the lower-ranked wrestler draws a 2nd tile. So you can place bets if you're not involved. And the total prize money for side bets is called the side pot, is equal to $5,000 per bettor. So there could be 3 players on the side, and thus $15,000 in the side pot. This money comes from the bank. The side pot will be divided as evenly as possible to the nearest 1,000 among all players who bet on the winner, with the remainder going back to the bank. If no one bets on the winner, the side pot becomes part of the purse. Oh, so you almost have to bet on that, huh? The purse is equal to the contract price of the losing fighter, so it's not set until it's over. The loser of the wrestling match must pay the winner the contract price of the losing wrestler. For example, if the angel loses, they pay $17,000 because that's their contract price. To determine who wins, you compare all the values in all 3 columns. If a player is winning in 2 columns, they win, regardless of the difference. If they're winning in 1 column and the other 2 are tied, they win. If there's a tie for number of columns, then the wrestler who is winning the other one by total more than the total wins. It's also possible to have a perfect tie. Whoever's losing will take the first turn at the start of the match, unless it begins as a perfect tie. After all side bits are placed, but before the first tile is played, the player who would normally go first may forfeit instead of playing any tiles. If they do, it's over, but no one retires. All bets are paid as usual. Player who goes second cannot forfeit. Proceeding, you can either pass, play a tile as follows. Passing does not end the wrestling match. You can still pass one round and play on the next. So you play number tiles between 1 and 12, and you can put that on top of any combat stat on your side or your opponent's. If it doesn't have a tile on it already, that tile's number replaces it. There's also swearing tiles. Those are erasers. They remove a number tile from either side. There's a money tile. The money adds 5,000 to the purse for each match, which comes from the bank for this match. The lips tile, tell me a secret. They allow you to look at your opponent's tiles and then immediately draw another pile. There's a computer tile. System error allows you to rearrange all the number tiles on the fighters. Rearrange, not discard. Tiles can be moved to any spot. This is a powerful tile. Junk tile, supplies. The junk tile stops the match immediately. This is only useful if you're winning, obviously. Except for the number tiles, all tiles return to the box as soon as they are played. The match continues until a junk tile is played or both players pass. But if you pass, it doesn't necessarily get you out of it. After the match, usually the loser will retire and is discarded with all the tiles on them. The winner returns to the owner's side of the table. The winner returns to their team, retaining the number tiles that are on them, and they will bring those into the next match. The loser pays the winner the contract place to the losing team. Let's see. Players who made side bets collect their side of the pot. If no one bet on the winner, that money also goes into the purse. And if the match ends in a perfect tie, then all side bets are off and, no one pays anything, no one retires, everybody goes home with a bean. When a fighter wins, they get a bean, a counter that increases the rank by 1. Nothing else changes. There's no upper limit to the rank a fighter can attain by earning beans. There's no benefit to gaining beans. It just determines who can challenge whom and draws a bonus tile at the beginning. By attaining a higher rank and a better reputation, a fighter could be challenged by stronger fighters, wrestlers. Winning, the game ends when one player has no wrestlers in play and can't play any from their hand. To win, you must have the most money when the game ends. However, before counting your money, you have to pay all your wrestlers, even those still in your hand. So you pay the wrestlers their contract price, except for those that have retired. Those that have retired, you pay equal to half of their price for all the wrestlers left in your hand. Deduct these amounts from your stake, and the player with the most money wins. If there's a tie, the tie is settled by a thumb war, I guess. This was designed by James Ernst, the game, and the art is by Cheyenne Wright. And a bunch of people play tested it. Rick C., Rick F., Julie H., Dave H., Blue-Haired Steve, a bunch of other people. 2005 was when the game was copyrighted. About the counters, a long time ago, when jokes on the internet were still funny, there was a game Spammers. It was about hackers and spam, but they made too many counter sheets, and John said Maybe James could write a game using these pieces, but they said for the price of shipping, he sent him these 5,000 sheets of counters, and then James Ernst made this game. Okay, then they have another game called The Bunny That Doesn't Like the Earth. I don't know if I played this one either. It's 2 to 5 players. You and your friends are hardworking candy machines in the bunny's factory, but the bunny doesn't like Earth. So they decided to get revenge on Earth by manufacturing a very unsatisfying brand of saltwater taffy. Very funny. This is very Sleep With Me-esque. You got to stop the bunny, even though you are aware the plan has no chance of success. You got to bring the squirrels in and have them stop the machines that make the candy. It's, not a great plan, but that's what you got to do. And what you'll need is pawns. This one just comes in an envelope, not a box. A very thin envelope. It was CAG 33. And you need pawns for every person, 50 counters, and some distinct counter to represent the bunny, and 1 6-sided dice. And I don't think I played this game. So it comes with a 2-piece board that says a bunny that dislikes the earth. There's a Karen in this game. At the top is Karen. Looks like some sort of robot. Aware of global events as they happen. More certain than the others that the plan will work. Keystone and a powerful motivational speaker. Then there's Elaine. These are all some machines, I guess. Introspective taffy machine. Oh, yeah, these are the different machines, taffy machines. Doesn't wish to, cause any, just wants to make taffy. Protective of Silas. Silas does not like noise, doesn't want to save the earth, but no, it would give Silas a sense of pride. He never found in making taffy, most productive worker in the factory, and the bunny's favorite machine. Hercules is a fast-moving machine and has no notion of any of the other's plans. And Baxter is a machine that has no concern for the world. So the board is just 2 pieces of cardboard. This is from 2001. I don't know. Let's read the instructions. Welcome to Sweetworks Candy Factory outside of Happyville. Bunny doesn't like the earth, so wanted to make this unsatisfying saltwater taffy flavor. You and your friends are the taffy machines, and you want to foil the bunny. So you're going to try to have the squirrels drop nuts in the machine. You need the 2-piece board, the rules, and the other components we talked about. Each player chooses a machine and places their pawn there. Your pawn will never move. The bunny starts in the office, which is the center platform on the board. Choose a player to go first and then proceed to the left. On each turn, you roll your dice. If you roll between a 1 and a 5, you can add a squirrel to a numbered platform, to that number platform. And then that ends your turn. If the platform is empty, this is your only option. You can move squirrels if there's 1 counter on the platform. Counters can mean the squirrel or the bunny. You can pick up all the counters on that platform and move them as described below. If you move counters, you got to move them all. Let's see. So you could choose any path leading away from the platform, distribute the counters along that path. You can visit the same space twice. You can't double back. For example, if you picked up the counters on window 1, you could go 1 to the office, 1 to window 2, 1 on the platform between windows 2 and 1, and 1 back on 1. If you have a squirrel drop a nut on any player's machine, usually this would be your own, that player takes the counter off the board and keeps it. The number of squirrels who drop nuts determines your score. The first player to collect 5 wins. But if you put the bunny on any player's machine that fixes that, the bunny fixes that machine, you take 2 squirrel nuts away from that player and release them. After he fixes the machine, the bunny returns to the office. If you get a 6, you move all counters from any platform on the board. You win as soon as you collect 6 squirrel nuts, because then it shuts down your taffy making. If you like this game, there's also another game about ham. The bunny needs a ham. I think I played that one. But yeah, that's a couple games I got that I may or may not have played. And thanks and good night, everybody. All right, I just want to thank everybody that recently joined our mailing list, sleepwithmepodcast.com/midnight mission to support people experiencing homelessness. And I want to thank, they get to come to live shows on Zoom for free, which is cool, and be a part of positive change. So I want to say thanks and good night to Holly Ann, Christina, and Kobe. Thanks and good night to Maria, Franz, and Janice. Thanks and good night to Chantal, Lawland, and Aiden. Thanks and good night to Phil, Gabriel, and Jonathan. Thanks and good night to Al, Bailey, and Sally. Thanks and good night to Sarah, Julia, and Carolyn. Thanks and good night to Melissa and Belinda. Thanks and good night to Lucia, Marta, and Javier. Thanks and good night to Stephen, Jen, and Eden. And thanks and good night to Xavier, Carly, and Joseph. Thanks and good night to everybody that supports the show or supports the communities around the show. That's how we're able to be here. I really appreciate it. And these document sponsors are how we're able to grow all the free archives. And thanks for spreading the word about the podcast. Thanks and good night. Hey, everybody. As we tuck you in here, I just wanted to let you know, hey, if you're in a position to do so, if you've been listening to a lot of Sleep With Me in 2022, as you hear from people, there's 1,400 minutes in the day about, and as I see people's year-end lists, depending on the app you use, people listen for 7,000 minutes, 6,000 minutes, 33,000 minutes, 17,000 minutes. I know there's even higher numbers. Think about that, because a lot of work goes into the show, and you supporting the show directly, particularly on Patreon as an annual patron at $10 or $20 a month, but even monthly, supports the work that makes all those minutes possible. So thank you so much. sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron. You could support the show. You help it, and I appreciate it. Let me tuck you in there a little bit more. sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron. Thanks.